You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome to Cards to the Moon. I'm Clark from 5 Card Guys on Instagram. And with me co-hosting, as always, for episode 82 is Hyung of Integrity Sports Cards and John, who is Trade You at Recess. Okay, so in last week's Friday episode, as with most sports card podcasts these days, we talked a lot of football with our overreaction takes after week 1. So check it out if you missed that show. But for this episode, we'll focus a little more on other sports. And off the top, I want to go back to baseball. More specifically, the new 2023 Topps baseball card design, which was released, I believe, a week and a half ago. If you haven't seen it yet, we'll post a link in the show notes to an article by Beckett.com where you can see what it looks like. But essentially, it's kind of a throwback to the earlier designs that goes back every 20 years, where there's a headshot by the name of the player along with the main action shot. So you'll see a similar design, for example, in the 1963 set, the 1983 set, the 2003 set, and now the 2023 set. Initial thoughts of the design?
Oh man, I don't know. Every year it seems to be getting worse and worse. You know, that's for me. I thought 2018, like after being spoiled with like 2018, 2019, I thought those were phenomenal designs. After 2019, like the 2020, 2021 Wander Franco's year, and now, you know, I guess 2022 and above, like they're all similar hybrids of last year's kind of design. So you know what, it usually grows on me. I wasn't a fan of originally 2020's design, and then it kind of grew on you, but then the paper parallels were brutal, right? So like and same with like over the last couple years, the paper parallels, like your indies, your blacks, nothing was really special or stood out as compared to like 2018 and 2019 when, you know, you had the Cunhas and the Tatises, right? So I'm not a fan, but I'm sure it will grow on me, and Topps Chrome always looks better. So I imagine by the time Topps Chrome comes out, the parallels will look great. But from the initial kind of reaction, I'm not a huge fan, let's say.
You said the 2018 was something, that was the borderless year, right?
What's that? The 2018? Yeah. 2018 was like Ohtani's year. It was kind of like that the background with like 3 little flares or whatever. Yeah. But the color parallels were like full, like the whole card, right?
The full card, yeah. They gotta get back
so that's what I'm saying.
It's because they didn't have the border, right? But now subsequent years they do have the border, and that's that's how they differentiate the color. Yeah,
right. Good point. I haven't taken a look at. I literally saw the card a couple of minutes ago as we're about to record, so I haven't seen any takes or any opinions. I'm completely opposite. I really like it. I don't know. I have been so disappointed with Topps' design in the last couple of years, right? Like I thought when they revamped the design in 2 years ago during the Joe Adele that year, right after Luis Robert and Bo Bichette, they tried to like kind of go away from that borderless design, and I did not like it at all. And yes, it kind of grew on me, but still, you know, not really a fan. Last year's, kind of like Hyung said, it's sort of like lazy, similar iteration of the years past. Don't like it. You know, I will say, okay, fine. This year's is, again, a bit of an iteration, but it does have the action shot with the face shot, which makes it different enough. And I don't know. I'm a fan, man. I like it. Okay. Yeah, I like it. Looking forward to it.
You know, as all things art, it's always subjective, and I don't mind it. Yeah, it's one of those things I thought it would just be a fun discussion, because every year it doesn't matter what the design is, I'm going to buy a box anyways, right? when it comes out in the spring, you know, it's like tradition. So, But I do agree with you on the point of the color refractors looking much better on the borderless designs when it was the whole card,
Right.
like on the Topps Chrome, and with the borders, it's just just seeing the color along the border. Sometimes it's easier to see that as a color refractor because of the border, and some people like that. But I kind of like the look of I agree with you. The 28 design I was a big fan of. And I think 2019, 2021 for me is like the dark design years. Like it just seemed really boring. But yeah.
I think what Topps does such a great job, like over the years, Bowman and Bowman Chrome's design have improved, in my opinion. I think they look phenomenal. They look great. I love kind of like Bowman Chrome, even this year, last year's release, and then Topps is just getting worse and worse and worse, right? So it's like two different paths, because in Bowman Chrome 2018, 2017, like 2016, we're kind of like but over the more recent years, that's when Bowman started like picking up in terms of the design. So yeah, I just noticed that trend a little bit, but yeah,
sure.
Overall, who cares, as long as we're pulling some heat. It wouldn't matter who it or how the card looks, right? We're always, gonna win on that. So
agreed. Speaking of hits, I was thinking we could talk about the upcoming release of 2022 Topps Chrome. That's coming out, I believe, really soon, by the end of the month. And there's been some blowback from content creators like us about the price of the hobby boxes, which is about 500 or so Canadian.
Jeez.
So 400 to 500. And if you looked at our friend Scotty B's video talking about it, he mentioned that there are a lot of vet autos in this year's set where there wasn't previously. So that kind of dilutes the number of hits you can get. It's just not rookie autos anymore. But your quick thoughts on Topps Chrome this year for baseball.
So we're just looking at a few things with the set on Cardboard Connection.
Yep.
And something to note, like obviously Bobby Witt Jr., Spencer Torkelson, J. Rod, Wander Franco are kind of like the chases, but everybody but Wander, of those guys I listed, they're in as SPs, so they don't have a base rookie card.
Right.
They do have a Chrome rookie auto, like you were saying, so that's definitely going to be the chase. Yeah. I mean, it's a decent list with if you look at it, you have like Bobby Witt Jr., you have your Spencer Torkelson, Wander Franco, J. Rod, and then even like guys like CJ Abrams, so decent rookie class, but $500 Canadian, that is. It's you're chasing. There's 107 Chrome rookie autographs, I guess, in that set.
Wow.
Right. So if you're trying to pull kind of like, sorry, that's just rookies, and then you have 47 more veteran, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Guys like, Brandon Lowe.
Right. That's who I will get when I rip the box open.
I mean, there's Juan Soto, but there's a Keston for John. So Keston Hura, which he's having a phenomenal season compared to last year.
Yeah.
Right? He's upgraded to some thick paper stock, but it's I don't know. I always enjoy Topps Chrome. I think it's overpriced for sure, but I mean there are good chases out there, I will say that.
Okay.
Yeah. So we might be ripping a couple just to see, Sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not, We're hopeful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Topps, that is an unacceptable price increase for retail hobby. That's like, it's one thing I think to increase prices by a small margin. This is for me, this is too much. And I think, I don't know how the rest of the hobby is going to accept it. I'm sure breakers will probably still do decent, maybe not profiting, but I'm sure people will probably look towards breaking to get specific cards or players. But in terms of general people who want to rip, like the three of us here and our boys in our chat room, to pay $500 Canadian, I think it's $350 US retail. I don't know what the retail box was before, but $190, $200 or whatever it was. That is an enormous jump, and I don't think that will be digestible for the regular hobbyists out there. So I will assume boxes might sit for a long time, as hot as it is and as hot as there are J-Rod SPs and all that stuff. I hope boxes sit and the prices come down, because I think that's just way too much of an increase.
Yeah. And we've already seen other Topps Chrome sets from previous years come down. Right. The price has adjusted accordingly. So I'm hoping for the same. But, when it releases, instead of how we normally do with the boys, we each get a box, we rip one open. We might just have to circle around Hyung and just watch him open his one box.
Or wait a bit.
And then wait for our turn in a few months.
Yeah. Oh, man.
All right, we'll see. Okay, let's move on now to hobby headlines. And for this episode, I wrote down some actual headlines in the world of sports, and I wanted to get your takes on whether you think the news headlines will have any kind of impact on card values, either in the short or long term. And again, I didn't include any football headlines, as I mentioned off the top of the show, because we talked a lot about it, or we talked about week 1 a little more in depth in Friday's episode. So these headlines will be covering other sports, just FYI. Okay, let's begin with Albert Pujols chasing 700 home runs. That's been a great storyline. I don't think anyone expected it going into the season.
No.
And we even talked about Pujols in a previous episode where he's like, we'll just wait for him to get into the Hall of Fame. Might see a bump. And now he's like 18 home runs in this season, probably his last season, 20 games left or so. Do you think this kind of headline really does anything to his card value right now?
I think it does, because I think his cards were severely undervalued for what he's done. We're talking, Barry Bonds, Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth, and now Albert Pujols.
Elite.
That's elite. So there's still affordable Pujols cards, even autos. I think there's some great deals like his SPX auto, and there's other autos that are cheaper than, obviously his Bowman Chrome is kind of like the most sought after card, and that's astronomical. But even his Topps Chrome rookie card, I think there's room to grow with his the retro fractor as well as that Ichiro. Ichiro's in the same set as well, so they have a dual card as well. So I think there's lot of opportunity with Albert Pujols, actually. And I think the 7 home run chase is just kind of like accentuating that kind of like, I guess, his legacy and how good he actually was. And the crazy thing is, if you look at his split stats, like I talked about this, I think a couple episodes ago, like his split stats are crazy. His first 10 seasons were insane. Like his last 10, like Anaheim got like probably the worst of the worst deal, but like when he was starting with St. Louis, like we're talking, he was the man, like better than Trout's first 10, and that's even crazy. So I'm just happy that he's made it to whatever age he is right now, whatever you want to believe, but like 700 home runs is no like slouch. That's some big time numbers, and like I think he's still underrated in some sorts in the hobby. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Johnny?
In the short term, I mean, the price, whatever it's gone up to right now, we have to remember that it's the 700 is already baked in. This is that hype number. So if we're talking, flip game short term, probably a good time to sell. But if we're talking long term for Albert Pujols, we mentioned, I kind of touched on this before. I feel like his legacy was heading towards, legend of the game, but stayed a bit too long in the game, and he's kind of like that old guy that's fading into, like, disappearing into the distance. And this is really shining like a huge spotlight on him, kind of reinvigorating his legend status. Probably, to be honest, taking it to another level. So long term, it's just probably doing wonders to his card. So is there a time to purchase Albert Pujols cards? I think there is. Is it right now? I don't think it is. But certainly it's looking good. The outlook is looking great for who he is and what he's going to mean to the game eventually and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Good all around.
Nice. I think in the short term, I agree with you guys. I think there's definitely opportunity to sell right now. If you're waiting, if you had it for a while, this is a great storyline to follow. And a lot of people are looking at Albert Pujols, or at least aware of Albert Pujols again after a long while. And I think it's a good opportunity to sell, but I think there will be a buying opportunity after the season is over when the storyline kind of plays itself out. And then it might be waiting again for the Hall of Fame. But yeah, I think for the short term, definitely an opportunity to sell. I'm all in on Albert Pujols. What a great player. And he's 42 years old on paper, all right? So
on paper.
Okay, another home run story. Aaron Judge going for Maris's Yankee record of 61 home runs. He's at 55 with 2.5, 3 weeks left. What do you think that's doing to his card value?
I mean, I think we're already seeing it, right? Like, I think it's undeniable that he should kind of like have that MVP award. Right now, like, I know Shohei's in the mix and but like Aaron Judge's WAR is like over 8 or something like that this year, right, which is ridiculous. And we've seen a crazy growth, amount of growth in Aaron Judge's cards this year. Like like Aaron Judge was a type of guy that got no hobby love before. We got to remember that. So obviously, to me, it's like, okay, he's on the right trajectory, and he's going to get a lot of hype with, the Maris record, which, is a Yankee record. So if you look at it from a New York perspective, like, yeah, he's accomplishing like crazy things. But with that said, it's like, steroid or not, like, Maris's record already was broken, right? Technically, right? So it's like that chase was already hype before. This is a New York kind of thing. When it's all said and done, I don't think it's gonna be. He'll be the all-time like home run leader for like New York in a single season, which is crazy in itself. But I think we've seen such a big spike in his cards that over the offseason is probably the right time to buy. I still do believe in Judge long term. He's 30 years old now, and he's played 7 years in the big. Started his career late, so I could see him still. He's 6'7".
Right.
As long as he takes care of his body, I see himself. I don't see himself like slowing down really, because he's such a strong frame, and he could play for 10 more seasons. Wherever that may be. That's the thing. Is he going to be a New York Yankee? Probably not. I don't know. Who knows, right? So, that's the only other thing.
Hot take.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah, I agree. Short term, again, like Pujols, I think the 61 is kind of starting. It's pretty much already baked in. If he, goes above and beyond that Maris record, I think you'll probably see another bump, because it's like, he actually did it sort of feel. Aaron Judge's, I touched on this too. I'm kind of on the outside looking in on a guy like Aaron Judge. I think people who aren't Aaron Judge fans or Yankee fans, don't put him on that sort of Tatis, Acuna level. And is he making a point to be on that level? Sure he is, right? But I've always kind of seen him kind of like that Cody Bell, not as severe. Okay, I'll give him some respect.
Whoa, don't say Cody Bellinger.
No, come on. not as severe as that. But like the type of guy where he shows MVP season, and then next season he kind of falls off, and then he kind of shows MVP season. For like a regular guy like me who is not into a player like Aaron Judge, for me to kind of get committed to getting into him, I probably have to start seeing him like Hyung was saying, start to really carve out like a big home run career. So if he starts to do this again next year, I think at that point my interest will really start peaking, and I will assume the wider market, like guys like me, will get into it. So is there an opportunity for Judge's card to go higher in the next 2 to 4 years? Absolutely. But as of right now, it's a great time to sell, especially if you don't have anything super rare. You have something that's pretty liquid. Clark, I'm looking in your direction. Probably a really good time to trade and get into something that's on the low.
He hit 56 and 57 tonight. Just like,
are you serious?
Like,
get out of here.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Even better.
It's amazing.
Even better. The card's gonna go even higher.
I was just about to say, after John finished talking, I'm like, I don't think he's gonna break Maris's record. He's kind of like 5 games now without a home run. Like
right, yeah.
At the end of the season,
it's getting pretty.
People start to tire out. Yeah, right.
He just dropped 2.
And I'm like, okay, there's a chance now. Oh man,
there's a local card show coming up in like 2 weeks. Maybe that's your time, Clark.
John, you read my mind. September 25th, I'm going to be at the CSC show, and I'm going to see what I can get for my Aaron Judge refractor Bowman Chrome auto.
There you go.
That's
gem
a great
mint.
pickup. Yeah.
For more of a Grail type card. So we'll see. I love the story, but I'm always looking to capitalize. Kind of what I did with Shohei last year. And, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I still obviously as a Jays fan, I like my Guerrero that I got for my Shohei card, which I bought cheap, but Shohei's doing it again. I could see Aaron Judge doing it again, certainly next year as well.
Right.
And like you mentioned, John, his prices will continue to go up. But, I'm already going to get a good deal if I could flip Judge this year and try to get something better moving forward. But I hope 56, 57, that's amazing.
That's crazy.
I'm super happy. All right, next guy, staying on this home run storyline, Mike Trout. I don't know if you guys are aware.
Yes.
He hit 7 straight home runs. I don't know what I'm not sure if he hit one tonight while we're recording, but
I think he was 0 for 2 when I last checked. Let me check right now.
Okay, well, you check, because if he does hit one more...
I think he went 0 for tonight, 0 for 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, that would have been great. But no, 7 straight games, that makes him just the 9th player in both AL or NL history to homer that many times. The last person that did it, I think, was our boy Joey Votto last season.
Get out of
when
here.
He did that. Yeah,
so
there you go.
That.
Some baseball trivia. But we talked about Trout before too, right? When he had his injury, and we were all kind of really concerned moving forward because he hadn't completed a full season for 6 straight seasons now. But when he's playing, we're reminded again how great he is.
Definitely, no doubt. Yeah,
So,
that was the thing, Clark. It's no doubt that when he does stay healthy, I mean, he's been the most consistent, player in baseball the last 10, 12 years. But like I said, what he's doing is phenomenal. You look at his stats even this year, in 365 at bats, he has 35 home runs. So that's on pace for close to 50 plus home runs, which is pretty good. But like we said in a previous episode, it's remember his prices are kind of baked in as if he's gonna do this for the next 10 years, and he's gonna become one of the greatest baseball players of all time. Right. So if let's just say his season ends in the next, or his production starts, tapering off, then, this is similar to what I said with Pujols, right? At the end of the day, it's not saying that he won't have an unbelievable career regardless. Mike Trout could retire right now and he won't be the greatest of all time, but he'll definitely be a Hall of Famer, and probably one of the best players in the game in the last basically 12 years, right? So that's my only concern is kind of where prices will actually settle down to. Specifically, I think 2011 Topps update, we talked about this, where the higher print runs are found. I could see those cards, which, went as high as $4,000 or $5,000 at one point, still dropping, until there's to a point where it's that, I don't know, I think the bottom is going to be 1,000, maybe a little over 1,000 for a Topps update. It might have went up ever since his last home run streak, but I like I said, those are just kind of some of the concerns I have.
Yeah.
It's just based on where his prices were. Like if all prices were flatline, yeah, I'm buying Mike Trout, but like we don't know when kind of like that bottom is, right? So
Yep.
Yeah. It is great to see Mike Trout hit 7 straight homers. Right on cue, as Clark, you were mentioning, you're still saying that he's the best player in the game. I'm sure some people might have thought that was a bit of a hot take. But like right on cue, as he's coming back, 7 straight homers, showing everybody, hey, this injury really is not that big of a deal. I can still play at an elite level. So I hope that Mike Trout, even if he becomes like a Kawhi and only plays 80, 70% of the seasons here on in, if he still continues to give absolute elite numbers at 70, 80%, that's still going to be great for the Mike Trout market. So good to see. I'm a fan. I do want to see him go down as one of the all-time greats. But with that being said, hobby-wise, card-wise, investment-wise, I'm still with Hyung. I think people are still going to kind of tread a bit with caution. I would love to go all in on Mike Trout, but the fact that the general public continues to tread with caution, you can't help but tread with caution, right? Because that just means that, like any investment world, we're talking real estate right now, stock markets, like if everybody, the general market is treading with caution, it's really tough for you to even commit your dollars in somewhere, right? So I think that's where I'm at with Mike Trout.
Yeah, and I was just looking at the price or cost trend of his tops update while you're mentioning that, Hyung, and I think it's around just under 1,800 now, and it hasn't seen a really much of a bump even during this 7 home run streak.
Right.
But I think that tells you something, that unless you're a real baseball fan or following the Angels, you probably were surprised at the fact that he hit 7 straight home runs.
Right.
And, he's just doing it quietly, and it doesn't help that he plays for a mediocre team. And I think that's the bigger knock as well. Like, he hasn't touched the postseason in such a long time. And, individually, of course, the stats will show that he's one of the greatest, despite if he plays a full career. But I don't think this particular storyline helps with his value at all. It's more of a long-term trend. It's actually one of those cards I'd be willing to trade for plus cash for my Aaron Judge.
Sure.
Because I just want to hold Mike Trout longer term.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So that would be my play for sure. All right, that's 3 baseball ones. We're going to shift gears and go to tennis. Of course, Serena Williams, the GOAT of tennis, retired at the US Open. Just wanted to ask you guys about what you think that did with her card values.
Card values, I don't think. Like I've been kind of like just monitoring Serena's cards for the last couple of years, ever since we started talking about. Even John is a huge, I guess, believer in Serena cards, and I just never bought into kind of like the whole card idea with Serena. But I do think her cards are so cheap, and she is like the GOAT, of tennis. There's no denying that. So for me, like I would love to have one. Like I think her net pro, just her base is like $100 or something like that, which is like very, very affordable, and like a card that's pretty cool to have, kind of like in your PC. So I don't think she's gonna get hobby love even with the news. But I do think over time, I think it could be a great investment. Who knows when the market will hit or when it will catch on, but I think there's opportunity for sure with Serena Williams. When is the question, right? It could be in 5 years or
true.
So
fair.
That's why I like that exquisite card so much that I was mentioning. It is rare. It is very expensive. But I mentioned this long time ago when we were talking about, I think we were talking about Serena Williams, or we're talking about other tennis players. But it's the whole concept of Net Pro. Like I don't know about enough about Net Pro. It is kind of like a boutique, specific to tennis. And the cards look cheap. Let's be honest. They don't have it's not Topps Chrome.
It's paper.
It's
stock,
paper. So even when you see Net Pro Glossy number to 100 Serena Williams. They're selling for like 5 figures or something crazy. Like I personally wouldn't spend 5. Like just the look of the card, it's nothing too impressive. But with that being said, exquisite. You got a different look. Yeah, maybe it's not quote unquote rookie card, but it's a high end Serena Williams card on a more classic, iconic card stock or card graphic. I like it. So Serena Williams, I think from here on in, even the retirement at the US Open, obviously fairy tale, I think everyone was rooting for her to win.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. And I think it'll just be one of these slow, her cards will move as the market moves, as the GOAT market moves. I think she'll be one of those names. I truly believe that she'll be one of those names in there. Yeah. I read some of the comments like when Slapstocks or whoever kind of features Serena Williams, and then you kind of read the comments and like, oh man, the amount, I don't know if they're just trolling or just straight, that's how they truly feel, and just the amount of disrespect.
Really?
Oh yeah, I see some of the comments and they're like, why are you even posting this? Like, we're talking Serena Williams. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we're talking sports cards here, not Serena Williams. It's like, oh my goodness. Just like nonsense comments. Like I'm shocked. But Serena Williams, to me, she's the greatest female athlete of all time. I think she counts as being one of the greatest athletes of all time. Like on the female side, she is up there, man. She is like in that Jordan, Tiger Woods stratosphere. Like, it's Serena Williams at the top, and then other people way down. So in terms of GOAT collecting, I would put Serena on that list if you haven't already.
Yep. The only thing I would add to that is, and you already mentioned it, John, the lower end stuff. Like, I don't know if that's ever going to get,
Yeah, I'm not. I
don't know if I'm going to see a bump
for fun. Kind of like Hyung said, like something for the PC.
Right.
But in terms of investment, I don't know if I can, recommend go out and get the Net Pro base card. Like, no.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. And maybe that's because, it's our generation seeing Serena Williams in her prime. But, like the tennis card markets, this is still growing, right? Like it's still pretty novel. So I think there's more hope actually for the younger tennis stars, like Carlos Alcaraz. I don't know if you saw that story.
His Net Pro cards are insane right now.
Yeah, and Net Pro's trying to make a comeback too, right? It's trying to play off these younger guys too. So I think there's more opportunity for the younger guys, especially with the younger collectors. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I haven't, there's no denying for me either that Serena Williams is one of the best or the best in the game. But yeah, in terms of the impact on the hobby, just because of the quality of the product that was released during her quote unquote rookie year, I think that's going to play a bigger factor. So,
fair.
All right. This last one's just for you, John. Karl Anthony Towns declared in a recent article, quote, "I think I'm one of the best offensive players and talents the NBA has ever seen," unquote. So I just want to put this in context. This is a story about how the Timberwolves are going to be this season because they just acquired Rudy Gobert, one of the better defensive guys. So he's saying they're going to be a rock solid team. They also have Ant-Man as well. But do you think this kind of news where, it's just brimming with confidence and, like the Timberwolves, like he's just saying like, we're going to be a team to watch out for. Do you think that's going to sway the hobby, be excited for these guys, especially Karl Anthony Towns?
I don't think it'll sway the hobby at all. I do think that, Gobert will help, obviously. Like, I mean, having 2 7-foot monsters, with Anthony Edwards could do some damage there. But, like, I don't know. Like, we've monitored Karl Anthony Towns' price for the longest time. And one thing we all agreed is until centers in general get love, you look at, Bam, Joel Embiid, Karl Anthony Towns, even Rudy Gobert, like their prices, they have no action. And until that whole market as a whole goes up, I don't think you're going to see, any love for Karl Anthony Towns, regardless, because he falls into those categories. He's a solid player, but I just don't see kind of like that volatility until the whole market, corrects one day, whenever that is, right?
Kat, you guys know I've been talking about Kat for a while. I'm not necessarily like a big fan of Karl Anthony Towns, but I do have some of his cards because I thought he was supremely undervalued for who he is, of how good of a player he is. When he mentions being one of the better or best offensive big
talents
men
the NBA has ever seen,
in the league right now, like he's mentioned it before. I mean, he's not completely off. He does have, when you look at underlying stats and all that stuff, he's up there with the best of them. Now, when he says I think I'm one of the best talents the NBA has ever seen, a bit of a hot take, but I mean, if he continues down that road, maybe, I don't know.
Just a bit of a hot take,
but,
okay.
Yeah, like, I mean, he's coming off, like, truth be told, he's kind of coming off as he is coming off as a clown, which doesn't help him. He's got to say that about Rudy Gobert. Like, come on, let's be honest. You got Dennis Rodman and, David Robinson and Bill Russell, greatest of, like, not even close, right? Sorry, right. Rudy Gobert, not even close, but he's got to talk a big game. I think he is coming off as kind of like a classic millennial. And to be honest, like, even from a selfish point of view, holding a couple of nice Karl Anthony Towns cards, I watched his playoff performance last year, and it was pretty disappointing, man. I think him and Ant are just still, I mean, I hope they take a step up this year, but they were way too immature. The style of basketball they were playing, they're up like 30 points, like pounding their chests as if they're like the next Kobe Bryant. And then they give away the lead and lose the game. And then the next game, they're up 25, pounding their chests like they're the best players of all time. And then they give away the lead again. And they did that 3 times and they lose the series, right? They just showed so much immaturity in their game. And it was really disappointing to watch. So they got some work to do. They got some work to do to turn people's minds around about who they are as a team. Yeah. Karl Anthony Towns, again, he's kind of coming off as a bit of a clown with these comments. So he's going to have to back it up. You can't talk like this and not back it. You got to back it up. So we'll see what happens. I think none of this is helping with any of his cards. It's probably making it worse, to be honest. Which is not good news for me.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say. I just wanted to, just rip John a little bit with that. I just saw it come up on my feed. I'm like, what? Is that what Karl Anthony Towns actually said?
Yeah. Oh, man.
And I read the article just to make sure, like, the headlines didn't rip it out of context. But yeah, that's what he said. Yeah. Oh, that's what he believes. And the only thing I will say is, like, we saw the big 3 superstar model kind of start not to work as well.
Right.
It worked well with the Heat back in the day with LeBron, D Wade, and Chris Bosh, but now you just, like, teams are just more competitive, right? And Gobert, Ant-Man, and Cat, it's not a guarantee that they're going to be, top 5, top 4. Yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting to watch how some of these sports headlines develops, and hopefully it will push card values up for some of these players we just talked about. All right, let's go on to our next segment. We are calling Overrated or Underrated. And we've done this before, but for this episode, it's going to be the Parallels or Refractors edition. All right, and I'm going to call out some Parallels or Refractors, and you guys tell me if you think it's overrated or underrated. Simple enough. All right, let's start with Tiger Stripe Parallels.
Ooh. I really like Tiger Stripe Parallels. That's the problem. So, but I do think they're a little overrated. It's a non-numbered parallel, but like Tiger Stripes look so good. So yeah. I'm gonna say overrated.
Whoa.
They're I like them though, but they're still overrated.
I don't know what to think about Tiger Stripe. I haven't really followed pricing on the Tiger Stripe. I'm going to say,
for studs, they're up there.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna. I don't know how I feel. I'm not as big of a fan as Tiger Stripe as you guys, but to be honest, I've grown to like it a lot. as much as I'm not a huge fan, I think it's starting to go into the underrated category as all of these parallels continue to come out, and they're just flooding the market with these brands like Prizm and Select. I think Tiger Stripe is one of those SSPs that are kind of getting a bit lost in the mix, a little bit, compared to what they used to be. Maybe it's just correction. Maybe the Tiger Stripe was a little bit too overhyped. It could be that as well. But I feel like it's kind of going in the underrated category, getting lost in that mix with Pulsars numbered out of 13 and all of that jazz. So I'm going to say it's a bit underrated.
Okay. I'm siding with Hyung on this one. I think it's overrated. Like some of the stud players, like I just mentioned, they go at a premium, and I've grown to like it. Actually, I didn't really like it at the beginning. It seems so arbitrary, like Tiger Stripe or zebra. All these things, right? Chihuahua. Yeah, that's for 2023. But yes, it's arbitrary, and I feel like that's why it's overrated. That people are willing to pay. It could be one year that people stop liking Tiger Stripe for whatever reason.
Right.
So I think it's slightly overrated. All right, tie-dyes, number to 25 usually, right?
Yes, tie-dyes. You know what? Previous years, like I would say 20, specifically like basketball, because we're talking Panini.
Courtside.
Yeah, courtside 2019, I thought tie-dye was great. I just didn't like them before pre-2019, pre-2018 even. I would say they're actually underrated because I feel like tie-dyes don't sell as much. A lot of people don't like tie-dyes, even though they're numbered to 25. Like I think a card numbered to 25 in any, basketball set should fetch a premium. And sometimes I think there are some tie-dyes that sell for a premium, but there's a lot of tie-dyes that don't, right? So I think just in general, tie-dye, I personally like tie-dyes. I think they look great, but I could see like pre-2018, pre-2019, I wasn't a huge fan. So I'm going to say it is slightly underrated because I think there's a lot of opportunity in a card that's numbered to 25. So that's what tie-dye is known for, is 25. So as long as they don't change that, I think it's underrated.
Right. Why didn't you like the ones before 2018?
I don't know. It's just the tie-dye itself wasn't great. The blend, the actual tie-dye.
It has a prism look, right? It's like prism with tie-dye. Like it's not plain.
Right. Gotcha. And the select courtside tie-dyes were so beautiful in 2019, in my opinion. Like just the way the tie-dye was in the courtsides and stuff like that. I was a huge fan personally. Right. So it was more of a appeal thing, but not only appeal, I just think in general, tie-dye is just numbered to 25. They should go for more because it's, numbered.
Yeah. I personally love tie-dye. I think tie-dye, I put it in the exact same category as Tiger Stripe. They were very hyped a couple of years back. And I think this whole like LaMelo, Ant-Man, Cade, all of these new releases coming out with 200 parallels or 250 parallels or whatever redonkulous number of parallels there are per brand have really kind of watered down that landscape, the parallel landscape. And I think things like Zebra, Tiger Stripe, tie-dye are kind of getting lost in the mix. Will it come back to its hyped days? I don't know if it'll ever come back, but on a personal level, I love tie-dye. I think I put it at the same category as Tiger Stripe, just like Hyung said, kind of bordering on underrated. So we're going to go with underrated.
Okay. Just to be clear too, the field level for football, they also have tie-dye, right? It's, I guess, the equivalent of the courtside for basketball.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree with you guys. Number to 25, and it kind of reminds me of the Color Blaster, almost like an inverse Color Blaster or Color Blast cards.
Right.
Just like the look of both of them. And and so I was looking at some of the prices. Like, of course, some of the studs is really up there, but some of the regular decent players, like it's not out of the stratosphere for a card number to 25, like you were mentioning, Hyung. All right, third one, cracked ice, or for baseball, atomic refractor. That look.
I personally like the atomic look, but I think they're slightly overrated. Specifically, more on the Panini side. Although, like, eye appeal, I get it, everything, but everybody throws cracked ice this, cracked ice that, when it's not even a numbered cracked ice. Right. You know what I mean? Sometimes it'll be like just a regular orange, a cracked ice. It's not even numbered. It's a higher print run. They're like, oh, it's cracked ice this, cracked ice that.
True.
Like, atomic is different in baseball because
That's
if it's
numbered,
Bowman,
right?
It's numbered to 100, right? So it's a rare, but there are Panini cracked ice as well that like are lower numbered too, that I don't think is too overrated, I'd say. Mm-hmm. But I think in general, as a whole, cracked ice, the whole cracked ice term, everybody uses cracked ice, even like when they're talking about atomic and vice versa, and that drives me nuts too. It's like there's no cracked ice in baseball, right? There's no atomic in basketball, so overrated.
I think cracked ice atomic is one of the nicest, without thinking about, like unbiased opinion, just looking at straight cards and visual, one of the nicest. So I'm going completely underrated. I get what Hyung's saying. I think cracked ice, the Panini side, people are pushing it a lot. But on the baseball side, if you're talking atomic, I think atomic gets disrespected big time. I mean, it's the exact, atomic is sapphire. Like, people love sapphire, but then you mention atomic, they're like, it's not as nice. What are you talking? It's the exact same graphic. It's the same card. It's just called
little
atomic.
less blue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think, like, the visual when you're holding an atomic card or cracked ice or sapphire, you cannot not say how beautiful it is. Like, it's awesome. So I'm gonna say underrated, solely because I think atomic is severely underrated in baseball.
Yeah. You guys both make great points. It's overrated for the reasons why Hyung mentioned, and it's underrated for the reasons why John mentioned. So, I'm going to side more with John because I love the look of it as well. Even when I was talking with Piggy Banks, the custom card designer, and like I was just saying, all his cracked ice type designs, like they just pop. And
100%.
Right, it looks amazing. So, yeah, for that reason, I'll say underrated just for the aesthetic of the card. All right, last one for this segment, the printing plate, one of ones.
Ooh. I'm gonna say underrated. It's like no love. People are like, printing plate. They like laugh at you. You got to print it. It's a freaking 101.
Yeah.
What do you mean? They're like not worth anything. What do you mean it's not worth anything? Especially on cards that are like meaningful. I think, like, if you have like a Bowman Chrome, auto of like some stud, and you have the printing plate, I'm just like, that's a pretty big card in my opinion, but it gets absolutely no love. Obviously, well, I get it. Like, you look at the card and it's like, it's reversed and you barely could see it because it's like a color of the color for the CYAN, right? So it's like, I get it, like, but it's a one of one, right? Yeah. Not a true one of one, obviously, because you get absolutely destroyed if you call it a one of one. Right. Even though it says one of one at the back. It's the hobby, right? It's like, nope, you're not allowed to call it a one of one.
The only printing plate that they used.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's underrated, to be honest. Just because it's cool if you look at it from a perspective of iconic cards. Like, let's just say you had a printing plate of a very iconic Topps Chrome card. Like, to me, that's like, okay, like I would love to have that. I think that's a pretty cool piece, and there's only one in the world. So I'm going to say underrated.
Agreed. I think it's severely underrated. The concept of having the actual printing plates that were used for the cards, I think that's so cool, compared to some other, patch auto jersey, sticker auto with a player worn or event worn game jersey like that, all of that nonsense. And you get the printing plate of the actual card. One of one, there's 3 or 4 variations because the cyan color and the magenta colors and all of that stuff. But I think the concept is cool. It's too bad it didn't take off. So I will say underrated, but at the same time, ask the three of us, does that mean you're going to go out and get printing plates? No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I ain't buying no printing plates.
But as a concept and as a whole, is it underrated? Yeah, I think it is.
All right, you hypocrites. It's overrated, guys. Come on, man. It's not really a 1-of-1.
There we go.
Oh man, I'm laughing at you guys now. I think it's a little bit overrated just because going back to why I think cracked ice is underrated, like the aesthetic, like I don't know, you can hardly see the image. Yeah. You guys took the words right out of my mouth while you guys were making your case. But I hear you about the 1-of-1. Like, you know, it's scarce, so yeah. But for me, it's slightly overrated. All right, that's our overrated, underrated segment for this episode. We'll do another one. I'll think of another category. Always fun to do one of these every once in a while. All right, let's finish our episode with our regular weekly segment we call Pick One. As usual, we always ask Hyung to lead off, but if you're a first-time listener, this is when we each select 2 cards or 2 players, and then we debate which one we would rather invest in. All right, Hyung?
I'm gonna actually switch it up. So we're not even talking about graded cards or which one would you rather have.
Yeah.
It's more of an image. Like, okay, so if I'm looking for a Shohei Ohtani rookie card, and I'm like looking at flagship stuff. So one, I picked the 2018 Topps. So this could be Topps or Topps Chrome, because the image is the same.
Okay.
So the number 700, where he has a white jersey on, right? Mm-hmm. So that image, so it could be all the parallels, refractors, or whatever, versus the 28 Topps update or Topps Chrome update US number 1, right? Which is the red jersey. So Shohei has 2 variations of rookie cards. Sometimes I've seen it flip-flop back and forth in terms of what's worth more. So a gold in the Topps Series 2 or number 700 would sell for more than the Topps update one year. But previously, the Topps update outsold the regular Topps. Right. So it's like if I'm going into a Shohei card, which one would you guys pick? Which image if you had one choice?
Ooh. Just straight image, I am going Topps update US 1. I think it's
the red
easy.
jersey.
Yeah, the red jersey.
Really?
The action on it, like he's in full like throwing motion. It's a cooler looking card. I think the red jersey, it just pops a lot better on cards. So from a aesthetic look, just a fan of collecting cards, raw, nothing to do with investment. Topps update US 1 for me.
Interesting. How about you, Clark?
I'm looking at both of them now, going back and forth. Yeah, I was looking at getting like the gold of the US 1 paper, because I do like the look, and obviously the gold looks nice on it. So I'm gonna go with the US 1 as well, but without just like looking at the image or the card as a whole, I kind of like the chrome.
Remember, that was the original Chrome. So the number 700 and the white jersey was his flagship first card. Yeah. So the original Topps set, and then Topps Chrome came out with that image. And then at the end of the year, that red jersey, Topps Chrome, the Topps update, and then Topps Chrome update came out afterwards as a second rookie card. Not that that matters or anything, but I'm just throwing it out there. That's what a purist would actually look into too, right? So
yeah. Investment wise, probably a bit of a different story, but
yeah.
I agree. With that story, I would have gone with the Chrome update, but the Chrome. But
the Chrome. Oh, okay.
In terms of the image, I still like the US 1 better.
Yeah, I agree. Especially like stuff like the Independence Day parallel of that update image is just like pops a lot more. And it was always a question I asked even when I got back into the hobby. I'm like, why is the Topps update always outselling, his original Topps and Topps Chrome? Right. It doesn't make sense. That's
a pretty unique situation.
It is a very unique situation, right? And but then what happened was that red jersey was outselling the other card, and then when the market hit, like where I guess in 2020, 2021, that regular image kind of caught up. Right. So it ended up kind of like catching up, and now it's like it swings back and forth. Obviously, Topps update and Topps Chrome update is probably less print run in general.
True.
Just because it's a update set and Chrome updates super limited with parallels. They're all numbered parallels, including the refractors. So the rarity is, I think, more on the Topps update side. But I think that year, because Soto's in 2018 update, he wasn't in, like, 2018 Topps in general was a weaker set. I think the 2018 because Acuna was in Series 2, just the bat down, and then other than that, there was nothing. So update was kind of like the bigger chase.
Right.
Bigger chase,
that
for sure. So
a lot to
that
right.
I think that's what kind of keeps that red jersey kind of like value going. But I've owned both cards, and I like both, just because the OG, the purist in me, likes the original, but then the rarity goes on the red side, right? So the red jersey. So it's going to be a sweep, but like, it's good information, I think, for new people getting into Ohtani. It's like, which card do I get? Which one's better? So
it's choices. Yeah. Good one. John?
All right. So my 1v1, I don't want you guys to quite I'm going to use a specific example, but I don't want you to quite think of it as a specific example. So I'll get into that for a second. It's 2018 Luka, Prizm, quote unquote basketball flagship, blue Prizm numbered out of 199, PSA 9 versus big card, versus non-rookie year Luka Flawless patch auto. Both sell kind of like around that sort of like 8,000 mark. And going back to what I said at the beginning, not necessarily thinking about this specific example. What I've been really thinking about is, people want to chase, especially current players that we think are going to go into the stratosphere of like top 20 all-time generational kind of players. We're talking Luka, we're talking Giannis, we're talking Steph, we're talking, and obviously to a degree, Kevin Durant. Maybe some people might not think so, but Kevin Durant, I'll put in there. When you think about, because people want these guys, and they want the grails, they want the Topps Chrome, they want the Topps Chrome refractor, but clearly it's on another stratosphere, right? So when you're grail hunting for these guys, you're gonna obviously, most people can't afford a Topps Chrome Curry refractor at 125,000, so you're gonna have to go for a secondary. So we're thinking Bowman PSA 10 or Topps Chrome refractor PSA 6 or something a lot different, right? So I think what got me really thinking was, when you can't afford the high end grail, like a Giannis Prizm PSA 10 that goes for, I don't know what they go for, 13,000 or 15,000. When you're looking at something a little bit scaled down, do you go for the classic flagship, like a lower grade flagship numbered or whatever you want to go for? Or do you think long term, like NT or flawless patch autos of these potentially all-time greats would be a better long-term investment? So long-term investment, do you go for the lesser version of like a flagship card numbered, or do you go for non-rookie year flawless patch autos? Because these things are really starting to pop. When you think about, look at LeBron's rookie, like exquisite, and like, not his rookie year one, but the non-rookie year subsequent. Look at Kobe flawless patch autos, right? So it just got me thinking, like, long-term investment.
Right.
Yeah, if you kind of get where I'm going.
I do. It almost makes it sound like you're trying to get us to save the patch auto.
I'm legitimately curious what you guys think on this.
I'm going to go with the rookie card. If we're speaking generally, if we're speaking specifically to your example, the Blue Prizm number to 199, PSA 9. But in general, I will still go with the rookie card. I think there's a hierarchy in what collectors want to collect. And yeah, it's actually a hard one for me to decide too, because I do love the patch autos, but I think it would bother me that it wasn't the rookie card if I had it. You know what I mean? As much as, the patch auto is sweet. And I think the examples you gave, for sure, like the ones that are in demand, even the non-rookies, you have to be like GOAT-like status, right?
Yeah, I'm specifically talking those kind of players though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So,
we're not talking like Donovan Mitchell and stuff like that. We're talking guys that are going to be in like finished top 20 NBA all time kind of stratosphere.
Yeah. Okay, that makes things harder, but I think still it would bother me if it wasn't a rookie card, and it's numbered. It's a nice, parallel. If it was all that too, then for me it's a no-brainer. I would still go for the rookie.
Yeah, you know what? Luka had a 2018 flawless. Obviously his rookie, which is a monster card.
Yeah.
Like we're talking 5-6 figures, right? So I think 2020 was his other flawless, because I think Immaculate was 2019, and then he has NT one and
he has like one this year too. Yeah.
This year, yeah. And I get where you're going with this, and long term, I could see the potential, but you're talking about a color match Blue Prizm of Luka. Yeah. Like this is his rookie card, you know what I mean? Going up against that, right? So it's like that card was a big card for me at least, because it's the color match Luka that everybody wants in Prizm. So I can't be swayed off from rookie cards. That's why we got collecting in the first place is the rookie cards. And second year, third year, fourth year cards were more like, okay, long-term play. It's definitely not going to see any sorts of movement at all until after all those rookie cards kind of move first, right? So I'm going to go Luka Blue Prizm over non-rookie patch auto for Luka.
Yeah, so I obviously my question was a bit leading because I have been because I mean I want even in our group, our chat group, guys are talking about, I would really want to get into a really nice Curry, or I really want to get into a nice Giannis. Us on a personal level, the three of us probably want to get into a really nice Luka, and obviously I've been on the hunt for a nice Luka for a long time, so my mind always kind of swirls around exactly what I'm getting, right? So I always, most of the time I'm on the train to try to get the Select Blue, because that's a really affordable kind of like quasi color match. You guys, I've been talked about it forever. Sometimes I move to the Optic Holo because it's kind of got that classic look. And then now I start to go back, talking about like a bigger card, right? And I don't know, I'm starting to get convinced that there might be something to this, like trying to get into a non-rookie year flawless patch auto or NT patch auto or something like that. I think these are going to be insanely, I mean, they're already showing that they're insanely collectible, as people are the hype of like ripping these monster products. So I think there's something to this over, especially as we move forward and the flagship quote unquote cards kind of start to get watered down with all the different kind of parallels. And maybe people not just liking PSA 9s or, like SGC 9s or whatever. I think there's something to patch autos because they're not as conditioned. They're accepted, even if it's like a PSA 8, they're very much accepted, and it's very liquid in that sense. I think there's something to it. So I'm going to kind of lean towards the flawless patch auto.
Okay. No, I like that thinking. And, I could definitely follow your thesis on that. So, yeah, for sure. All right. That's a good one. So you were mentioning quasi color match with your light blue select that you were always eyeing for Luka. My 1v1 is kind of a play on that. But with football season underway, I chose Justin Herbert, his select light blue, Prizm light blue.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a Prizm light blue 2020 rookie card. It's not numbered because it's a Prizm, but it has a pop count of 80 for his PSA 10 versus this exact same card except the silver Prizm, pop count of 152, so almost double. PSA 10. They last both sold for about 2,600.
For me, I love the silver Prizm. I think it's such a classic card, but like if it was any other parallel, that's non-numbered, I'd probably go silver, but because it's, color match, Chargers, like that's a sick card, like really high desired, kind of like the Tatum green non-numbered, but like it just sells, right? So lower pop count, which is going to hold and retain pricing. So for me, I'm going with the color match, which is the desirable one, the light blue Prizm.
Okay.
If Justin Herbert carves out the career that most people think he's about to carve out, I think that light blue is going to be a monster card. That color match is absolutely perfect. Nailed it perfectly. I think the design looks great. I personally love that card. And of all the Justin Herbert cards I've ever looked at, I've always been looking at that one because it just stands out perfectly.
Yeah.
So it's an easy one for me. It's the light blue for sure.
Okay. Oh man, this was a little bit too easy. We're going with the light blue sweep.
I can't believe they're the same price.
We're all suckers for color match, though.
Yeah, that's
I
probably
think,
why.
Yeah,
but this color match is different, man. It's like
yeah.
It's kind of like the green the green Prizm Jason Tatum.
Yeah,
Tatum.
exactly.
It's Luka Blue.
Yeah,
we're all on the same page here. But like I thought, like the argument for the silver, obviously, it's higher liquidity, right?
Right.
Like people, there are a lot of people that are just diehard silver.
It's pretty low pop.
It is low pop
for
as well,
too,
right?
So, so it definitely has.
It's got appeal that way too, for sure. Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people would have gone for the silver, but none in this group. So
None in this group, yeah.
Light blue sweep it is. All right, that wraps up our Tuesday episode this week. Again, thanks for all our followers and subscribers to our podcast. And again, we really appreciate all your positive feedback. You can always get in touch with us on Instagram as well. We have a handle there at Cards to the Moon, all one word. And we'd be happy to connect with you guys over there as well. All right, we'll talk to you guys next week for a brand new episode. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.